What is going on, trainers? Drumvillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're taking a look at an Ultra League team. And this team consists of a Cresselia lead, which is mainly there to handle water types like Swampert or Politoed or even Lapras, and then you've got Typhlosion. On the safe swap position, Typhlosion is an underrated safe swap in the Open Ultra League because it has access to Shadow Claw, which is very good, relentless damage and energy generation, letting it get to those blast burns fairly quickly. You can also run it with Incinerate, which it recently got access to, which also gives it a lot of play. But as a safe swap, you probably want to give it Shadow Claw. And then we've also got Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So the rough gist of this is if you don't catch a water type with Cresselia, you're probably going to want to swap to Typhlosion to try and bait one out, see what work you can put in, then finish it off with Cresselia, and there's a good chance after that that Galarian Stunfisk will be ready to sweep the match. Because we've got Cresselia on the lead, this is an Open Ultra League team. If you want to run this team in the Ultra Remix, you can, but you will have to replace Cresselia probably with something like Dragonite, because both Typhlosion and Galarian Stunfisk deal very well with Charmers that might be coming in to counter it. They deal well with some of the ice types like Abomasnow or Alot and Ninetales. So I would recommend probably something like Dragonite or one of the Dragon types if you want to run this team in the Remix Cup. With that said, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing and let's jump straight into some matchups. And the first matchup we've got is Alolan Muck. And Alolan Muck with Poison Jab gets to Dark Pulse at around the same pace that Cresselia gets to Moonblast, so it's not as dominant of a matchup for Muck as it is when it's got Snarl, but it is still generally favourable for the Muck. Now, the reason we're stopping in for a moment in this matchup is we want the Muck to see if it's going to throw a Dark Pulse or an Acid Spray. Once they've thrown a Dark Pulse and we know they're going to commit just to going straight Dark Pulse against us, we're going to throw a Moonblast, get some good chip damage off, and then swap to Typhlosion because we have to bait out of water if they've got one, and they do. They pull out Swampert and they swapped very, very quickly. So we're going to throw the Blast Burn straight away, put a bit of pressure on. It's not going to KO, but we CMP tied with them throwing a Hydro Cannon because this is going to take us out. It's not worth us investing a shield to get to the Solar Beam because the Swampert's going to outpace us anyway. So we're just going to let Typhlosion go straight down, bring in Cresselia, build up some energy, and then hopefully Galarian Stunfisk can sweep when we take this Swampert out. Now this is a little scary because we're quite low on health. We're now in single Hydro Cannon range, but we have got nearly 2 Grass Knots. The Swampert lets it go through, and they've got a Registeel in the back. So there is potential for Galarian Stunfisk to clean this game up. It's going to be tough, but we have to land an Earthquake on the Muck, and we have to land 2 on Registeel because Registeel can survive 1 Earthquake from Galarian Stunfisk. We've got 2 shields across the board, and the Focus Blast is going to hit hard, so that was worth a shield. It's unlikely that the Registeel is going to try and shield bait you because the energy difference between Flash Cannon and Focus Blast is so small. There's a chance that it might try and land a Focus Blast and then maybe try and bait with the Flash Cannon, but really they're probably going to go straight for Focus Blast off the bat against you, so it was definitely worth the shield. The Muck could have hit us for harder. When the Muck came in, we threw Earthquake pretty much straight away because we definitely want to throw Earthquake at it to take it out. We don't want them to get to a move and chip us down, possibly into single Focus Blast range. Now what we're going to do here is try to catch on the Cresselia, and we do. It doesn't matter whether this is a Flash Cannon or a Focus Blast, either way it wastes a bunch of energy on the Registeel, and now we should definitely be able to get to 2 Earthquakes. We might have been able to anyway, because Galarian Stunfisk can survive 1 Focus Blast pretty comfortably anyway, but either way that's going to really secure the win for us, and it's a GG. The team really doing what we designed it to there, baiting out the Swampert and then letting Galarian Stunfisk sweep the end game. Next matchup we actually pull a Swampert on the lead. This is the dream. You need to handle it with this Cresselia, but they're going to swap out straight away into a Lapras. So this is a double water line, and this is quite scary for us because Lapras can threaten as well as Swampert can, but we have to save Cresselia for the Swampert, so we're going to throw a Grass Knot and then swap out to Galarian Stunfisk. We throw the Grass Knot, swap out, and this opponent surrenders. So GG. A bit of a preemptive surrender I think by them, but either way happy to take the win. GG. Third matchup of the set, and we pull a Clefable lead. Now this isn't necessarily a bad lead for Cresselia, but because we've got both Typhlosion and Stunfisk, it makes a lot of sense to swap out, start putting some work in and see what we can bait out, and we actually pull a Giratina out. And what you're going to see here is Shadow Claw, Typhlosion can put in a lot of work against Giratina. We're going to take the Dragon Claw. It's not super threatening. It's going to chip us down eventually. Another Dragon Claw will take us out now at this point. But you can see we've already done more than 50%. So we're going to throw this Blast Burn before they get to another Dragon Claw. If they let this through, we can shield and farm down. So they do let it through, and we actually sneak a Shadow Claw through as well, which is even better for us, guarantees that we're definitely going to be able to take this matchup. It's worth the shield because Galarian Stunfisk absolutely shuts down Clefable. We're actually going to get a Blast Burn off as well from the energy. So it's going to do big damage. We actually get a shield out of them. So we've got switch advantage and we haven't had to go down a shield to get it, really, against a Giratina swapping into Typhlosion. You would think that Giratina absolutely walls Typhlosion, but you cannot sleep on how hard those Blast Burns hit. Now, we bring in Stunfisk and they've actually got an Obstagoon in the back. This is quite bad because Obstagoon can do well against both our Cresselia and our Stunfisk. So we're going to throw an Earthquake to do roughly the 50% damage because Moonblast also hits for roughly 50%. So it's worth throwing it, getting the damage, and then we know Cresselia can tank a few Night Slashes as long as they don't get the boost. We should be able to take out this Obstagoon. Because we stayed in, we're a little conscious of them trying to catch, but it's just a risk we're going to have to take. This is still not worth shielding, they haven't got the boost, we can take this comfortably. The Clefable does have some energy, and our switch clock isn't up, so we're going to have to throw a Moonblast at the Clefable to stall to get Galarian Stunfisk back in against this thing. It's coming up close, and we're actually going to throw, okay, this is fine as well, because Stunfisk can still easily make it to an Earthquake as well, which will still take out the Obstagoon. We swap in against the Clefable. This is not worth a shield, because if the Obstagoon has not thrown a Cross Chop yet, but they're probably going to get to one or two of them here, and if they did have Cross Chop, that would take us out, whereas the Psychic wouldn't. So we actually show the Night Slash, which is fine. We're already at the Earthquake. We can get this off, and it's going to take the Obstagoon out and give us the win. GG. So Typhlosion being able to take switch advantage against the Giratina was super impressive, and it gave us the wiggle room to work our way around to being able to put enough work in on the Obstagoon. If we'd have not got switch advantage and the Clefable could dump its charge moves into Cresselia and do a lot more damage, we'd have struggled to win that matchup. Okay, you're probably thinking, surely you can't win against Jellicent lead. And you'd think that because Jellicent does well against everything on our team. Shadow Ball hits Cresselia pretty hard, the Bubble Beams do well against Typhlosions and Galarian Stunfisk, it's got good resistances against fire types, but Jellicent's probably their only water type. So we're going to stay in with Cresselia, and there's a good chance that Stunfisk and Typhlosion can deal with whatever's in the back. So we're going to stay in. You can let a Shadow Ball through in this match, but it doesn't matter, but because they baited us with Bubble Beam, we expected the Shadow Ball the next time that they threw, so it was worth a shield if you know it's going to be a Shadow Ball. And pretty reasonable, because we're getting the Jellicent pretty low, and we're actually coming in with Typhlosion to snipe down this Jellicent with Shadow Claws, able to take them out before they get a move off, because the Bubble Beam's not super threatening. It hits for a little chunk, but it's not massive damage, so he wouldn't have minded taking it, and it was worth it to get ahead on energy. And they actually bring in a Mandibuzz to meet our Typhlosion, and Mandibuzz is resisting the Shadow Claws, but these Blast Burns are doing big damage each time. Not quite 50%, but we do get a shield out of them with that second one, and we can take this move, no worries at all. And we're just going to let Typhlosion go down. We're going to let it put work in. We're going to keep throwing these Blast Burns and just save the shield for Galarian Stunfisk and see what work it can put in. Got a feeling there might be something that Galarian Stunfisk can do well against, just because Mandibuzz is a decent answer to Typhlosion, but it's not a solid wall to Typhlosion. And we wanted to preserve a lot of health on the Cresselia just in case we baited out a water type, like something like a Swampert or a Politoed back with the Typhlosion. And we've actually got an Escavalier in the back. And again, this sounds like super scary. They've got Escavalier, we've got Stunfisk and Cresselia. Surely we can't win, but the shield's down. So we land an Earthquake, hits for big damage, and now they're in Moonblast range. We could probably let this go even if it is a Mega Horn, but I'd say it's worth the shield. And they actually Acid Sprayers. That is not good, but they're not going to get to a move in time to hit us for big damage. We're going to build up a bit of extra energy because we know that Escavalier is quite slow to get to Mega Horn. Throw the Moonblast, take it out, and now we can either get to a Moonblast with Cresselia, which we do get to, and this is going to get it very low, if not take it out. And if not, we know the Galarian Stunfisk can definitely handle this Mandibuzz. Even with the double debuffed Cresselia, we're still going to survive this and probably farm down with Psycho Cut. Yep, that's going to give us the win. Good game. Now, there aren't many teams running double water in the Open Ultra League just because there's too many Cresselias and Giratinas that shut them down quite well. So you're quite safe to run a team that is double weak to water in the back as long as you bait it out. If a Swampert gets past your Cresselia, you're absolutely screwed with this team. Next matchup, and again a bad lead. Obstagoon can do Night Slashes against Cresselia, it's got counter damage to add up against Galarian Stunfisk, and it's triple resisting the Shadow Claws from Typhlosion. So this Obstagoon can put in a lot of work against this team in general, but also Cresselia can just bulk its way through an Obstagoon quite well. You can see the Moonblast hits for such big damage. You can comfortably take the Night Slashes, you don't have to start shielding unless they do, or if they get the boost. If this Obstagoon boosts though, we'd be pretty screwed in this match just because it could then run rampant, probably through most of the team. Although Typhlosion could probably take it out with the Blast Burn, but still it's going to take some serious damage to do that. Now we are staying in this matchup, so we better hope they don't have a water type in the back. A classic bit of Go Battle lag here, and this Moonblast takes them out, takes switch advantage in the Zero Shield, and they've actually got a Talonflame in the back. And we probably should have swapped out a lot faster to Typhlosion to start getting ahead on energy, because this Talonflame can actually threaten us very heavily with the Brave Bird. Once they throw a Brave Bird though, a Blast Burn will take them out. And this here is a mistake. The Talonflame has thrown 5 Incinerates, which means, yeah, it can have 2 Flame Charges, which it's already thrown 1 Flame Charge, but it cannot have thrown a Flame Charge and a Brave Bird after 5 Incinerates. So we could have let that go through and would have been in a much stronger position, but we got a little nervous and shielded up because a Brave Bird would have really messed us up there. We're gonna throw this Blast Burn. We actually get the first shield and we Shadow Claw down, and I think the Talonflame had a move there. I'm pretty sure they had 3 Incinerates of energy there, so they could have thrown a Brave Bird, but I think they overtapped after we threw the Blast Burn, which is unfortunate for them, but also they'd have struggled anyway, because then our Stunfisk would have been able to make it to a Rock Slide and take out the Talonflame, and then it would have walled the Togekiss anyway. So we're going to take that win. It's a 5-0 with this squad, which is always very nice to see. Cheeky Snorlax from the encounter. So let me know what you guys think of the team. Have you tried Typhlosion for yourself in Ultra League this season? Have you had success with it? Have you had failures with it? For those of you that are subscribed, you're absolute legends, and I'll catch you guys next time.